Sunlight pierces a stone doorway that has been dark for a full year. That moment of perfect alignment was not left to chance, but calculated by ancient architects who built celestial events directly into their temples. By the end of this journey, you will understand how 25 sacred sites around the world function as precise astronomical machines. How did cultures separated by oceans and millennia each learn to track the heavens with such accuracy? And what profound secret were they trying to set in stone for future generations? What does it say about us that our oldest monuments so often reach for the stars? This shared cosmic impulse reveals something profound about our ancestors. They looked up at the same sky we do, but they saw a living clock, a divine calendar, and a map for their very souls. For the Maya, the sun's position dictated when to plant and when to harvest, their survival written in the stars. In ancient Egypt, the Nile's life-giving floods were predicted by the rise of the star Sirius, an event so crucial it was woven into their most sacred rituals. These were not separate discoveries happening in isolation. Instead, from the sun-baked plains of the Indus Valley to the misty hills of Neolithic Europe, humanity was engaged in a collective, silent conversation with the universe. They built to make that conversation permanent, carving their understanding into stone. A temple doorway framing the sunrise on the equinox was more than a spectacle, it was a statement. It declared that human time and cosmic time were one, that the divine was not a distant mystery, but a force that visited their home at a predictable hour. This is the thread that connects all 25 sites we will encounter. Each one is a unique answer to the same eternal question: how do we find our place in the vastness of the cosmos? The stones they left behind are their replies, waiting for us to listen. Deep in the sun-baked stone of southern Egypt, a mountain was made to honor a king and obey the sun. The great temple of Ramses II at Abu Simbel is not merely a building, it is a carefully engineered solar event. Around the year 1264 before the Common Era, architects carved a 200-foot corridor directly into the cliff face. Their goal was breathtaking precision. On only 2 days each year, February 22nd and October 22nd, the dawn sun would fire a spear of light down the entire length of that dark hall. It would not stop until it illuminated the statues of the pharaoh and the sun gods, Ra-Horakhti and Amun-Ra, seated in the sacred inner chamber. In that brilliant moment, stone and sunlight fused to proclaim Ramses as one with the divine. Yet, in a detail of profound symbolism, one statue was always left in darkness, the god Ptah, who ruled over the eternal night. This was not a happy accident, it was a calculated demonstration of power. By anchoring his image to the cycle of the sun itself, the pharaoh cemented his authority in the very fabric of the cosmos. The alignment likely marked his birthday and coronation day, turning a personal anniversary into a public, celestial spectacle. Thousands of years later, when the rising waters of the Aswan Dam threatened to submerge this ancient wonder, a global team of engineers performed a miracle of their own. They cut the entire temple into massive blocks and moved it to higher ground, meticulously preserving its original orientation to the horizon. It is a powerful thought that modern machinery was used to safeguard an ancient astronomical calculation, ensuring that the sun still finds its way to the king, just as the ancients always intended. While the sun aligned with a single pharaoh in Egypt, an entire civilization on the windswept Salisbury Plain built a calendar for the community. Stonehenge is a ring of silent giants, a monument whose purpose has been debated for centuries, but its celestial connections are written in stone and sky. Constructed in stages beginning around 5,000 years ago, this Neolithic masterpiece is a precise astronomical instrument. Its most famous alignment occurs at dawn on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. From the center of the circle, the sun rises directly over the solitary heel stone, and its first golden rays pour through the monument's heart, a moment of breathtaking communal significance. But the builders did not stop with the sun. The great trilithons, those massive structures of two upright stones capped by a third, and the smaller blue stones are arranged to capture the moon's complex 18.6-year cycle, marking its most extreme rising and setting points, known as lunar standstills. This was not just a calendar for seasons, it was a clock for the cosmos. Recent studies suggest the arrangement of stones may have even allowed its keepers to predict eclipses, a feat of mathematical understanding that existed long before the written word. The true wonder lies not just in the alignments, but in the sheer effort, moving these multi-ton stones across vast distances without the wheel or metal tools. It forces us to ask what powerful need drove them to such extremes, to build a permanent conversation with the heavens in a language of earth and stone. Where the stones of Stonehenge marked the sun and moon for a community, the Maya crafted a descent of a god for all to witness. At the ancient city of Chichen Itza, the Pyramid of Kukulkan stands as a masterpiece of celestial engineering. Twice each year, during the spring and autumn equinoxes, this magnificent structure transforms into a breathtaking display of light and shadow. As the sun sets, the stepped corners of the pyramid cast a series of triangular shadows down the northern staircase. These shadows connect with stone serpent heads at the base, creating the undulating body of a great snake, a spectacle that appears to slither down from the temple at the summit. This was the divine feathered serpent Kukulkan descending to earth in a public ceremony of light. The effect is no accident of architecture. It is the result of mathematical genius, a calculation set in stone. The pyramid itself is a solar calendar with 4 sides of 91 steps each, adding up to 364. The final step is the platform at the top, bringing the total to 365, one for each day in the year. But the Maya vision reached beyond the sun. They also aligned the pyramid with the planet Venus, a celestial body they watched with intense focus. Its cycles were tied to their concepts of royalty and conflict, and by integrating its movements into their sacred architecture, they wove the entire cosmos into the fabric of their daily life and spiritual belief. This was more than a building, it was a declaration that the universe and their culture were one and the same. Centuries before the stones of Stonehenge were raised, a different kind of miracle was being engineered in the misty hills of Ireland. The great passage tomb of Newgrange is a silent giant, a massive circular mound of earth and stone that has guarded its secret for over 5,000 years. Built around the year 3200 before the Common Era, it is older than the Great Pyramids of Egypt, a prehistoric wonder that speaks to a deep, ancient wisdom. Its white quartz facade gleams in the landscape, but the true marvel lies within. A narrow stone passage 62 feet long leads deep into the heart of the mound, ending in a mysterious cross-shaped chamber. This was not merely a resting place, it was a carefully designed instrument for capturing a single, precious moment of light. Above the entrance, the builders carved a unique feature, a roof box, a special slit of an opening that was anything but accidental. It was a precise astronomical sight, aimed with breathtaking accuracy at the horizon where the sun rises on the winter solstice. For a few precious minutes around dawn on the year's shortest day, a brilliant, narrow beam of sunlight pierces through this roof box. It travels the entire length of the dark passage, a spear of gold moving steadily until it floods the inner chamber with light, illuminating ancient spiral carvings etched into the stone. In that profound moment, the deepest, darkest part of the structure is suddenly filled with life-giving radiance. For the Neolithic farmers who built it, this event was surely a powerful symbol of rebirth, a promise that the sun would always return and that light would always conquer the deepest dark. The precision required to achieve this, using only stone tools and generations of celestial observation, is almost beyond comprehension. It tells us that these early people were not just survivors, they were sophisticated astronomers who understood the sun's cycles intimately, aligning their spiritual beliefs and their agricultural calendar with the very turning of the earth. This was their way of weaving their community into the cosmic order, ensuring that even in the heart of winter, hope was literally set in stone. High in the cloud forests of the Andes, another civilization mastered the art of celestial alignment, but with a purpose rooted in survival and spiritual balance. At the heart of the lost city of Machu Picchu stands the Intihuatana stone, a granite pillar whose name translates to the hitching post of the sun. This was no simple monument. Its intricate angles and precise planes were carved to function as a sophisticated astronomical instrument, a fixed point from which the Inca could observe and honor the sun's journey. The stone's most profound moment arrives during the equinoxes, when the sun positions itself directly overhead. In that instant, the pillar casts no shadow at all, a phenomenon the Inca interpreted as the sun being literally tied to the earth, secured in its place for the season ahead. This alignment was not merely symbolic, it was vital. In the challenging terrain of the mountains, knowing the exact solar positions dictated the agricultural calendar, telling farmers precisely when to plant and harvest to ensure their community's well-being. The stone's faces are also aligned with the 4 cardinal directions, marking the sun's key positions throughout the year. While many sacred Inca sites were lost to conflict, this particular stone endured, spared from destruction. Its survival offers a rare, unaltered window into an advanced understanding of the cosmos, a philosophy where humanity, nature, and the heavens existed in a delicate, intentional harmony. The Intihuatana was their anchor to the cosmos, a tool to maintain order in a world they believed was intimately connected to the stars. The same cosmic impulse that drove the Maya and the Inca found breathtaking expression across the ocean in the heart of the Cambodian jungle. Angkor Wat's central tower pierces the sky not just as an architectural marvel, but as a calculated point on a celestial map. Conceived in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, this sprawling temple complex was originally a monument to the Hindu god Vishnu. Its design is a lesson in divine alignment on a monumental scale. The entire temple is oriented precisely toward the west, a direction traditionally associated with Vishnu's celestial home. This was not a vague gesture. On the morning of the spring equinox, an observer standing at the western entrance witnesses a spectacle of perfect geometry. The sun ascends directly over the apex of the central tower, a brilliant crown of light appearing to rest upon the pinnacle of the earthly temple. In that moment, the boundary between the human world and the realm of the gods was symbolically dissolved, a visual proclamation that the king's authority was sanctioned by the cosmos itself. This grand alignment is only the most obvious clue to the temple's astronomical depth. Its vast bas-reliefs are not merely mythological stories, they are intricate records of time, depicting deities that correspond to lunar months and celestial events. The very walkways and galleries are laid out like a giant stone calendar. Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. Recent laser surveys of the surrounding landscape have uncovered evidence of even more subtle alignments, with certain temple structures framing the solstice sunrises and sunsets. This suggests the Khmer Empire's astronomers possessed a sophisticated, long-term understanding of the solar cycle, knowledge they encoded directly into the stones of their most sacred space. Angkor Wat stands as a profound statement, proving that even the largest and most complex of human creations could be designed to converse with the turning of the heavens. The ambition of Karnak is almost beyond human scale, a sprawling stone city built not in a single lifetime but over 2,000 years. Its central axis, a grand processional way lined with sphinxes, was not merely a path for priests and pharaohs. It was a carefully calculated solar highway. On the evening of the summer solstice, the year's longest day, the setting sun would fire a beam of light directly down this sacred corridor. This golden path traveled through towering pylons, past colossal statues, and deep into the temple's heart, finally reaching the inner sanctuary of the sun god Amun-Ra. In that brilliant moment, the entire temple became a conduit connecting the divine power of the heavens directly to the god's earthly home. This was not just an alignment, it was a declaration. It visually reinforced the pharaoh's sacred duty as the sun god's sole representative on earth, his authority literally illuminated by the cosmos. But the celestial choreography did not end there. During the winter solstice, the sun shifted to align with the temple's secondary axis, creating another, equally dramatic set of illuminations that marked the turning of the year. Within the legendary hypostyle hall, a forest of 134 massive columns was arranged to capture specific, shifting angles of sunlight throughout the seasons. Obelisks raised like stone needles to the sky, and the statues of gods and kings were positioned as permanent astronomical markers. The entire complex was a living stone calendar, its design evolving with each new dynasty as their understanding of the stars grew more refined. Karnak stands as the ultimate expression of a civilization that saw no separation between their government, their religion, and the precise, predictable mechanics of the universe. It was their way of building cosmic order into the very ground they walked on. Far out in the Mediterranean Sea, on the sun-drenched island of Malta, stone temples whisper of a forgotten astronomical genius. The Mnajdra temple complex, built around 3,600 years before the Common Era, stands as a silent sentinel of celestial knowledge. Its south temple is a masterpiece of megalithic engineering, a structure so precisely aligned that it functions as a perfect solar calendar. On the mornings of the spring and autumn equinoxes, the sun's first rays pierce the main doorway, projecting a brilliant rectangle of light that travels directly across the stone floor to illuminate a central slab. This was not a rough approximation, but a moment of breathtaking accuracy, marking the 2 days of the year when day and night are perfectly balanced. The builders' understanding went even further. During the solstices, the longest and shortest days, the sunlight enters at a different angle, striking specific markers on the inner walls, clear visual announcements of the season's turning points. What is truly staggering is that these Neolithic architects achieved this precision a full 1,000 years before the first pyramid rose in Egypt, using only stone tools and generations of patient sky watching. For an early agricultural society, this was a matter of survival, a way to know precisely when to plant and when to reap the harvest. But it was also the heart of their spiritual world, a sacred space where the community could witness the universe confirming the order of their lives. Mnajdra is more than a ruin. It is one of humanity's first and most enduring statements that our homes can be built in conscious, graceful harmony with the cosmos. Just a short voyage from Mnajdra on the island of Gozo, the stones of Ġgantija rise with a different kind of ancient gravity. Their name means Giant's Tower, a label born from local legends that spoke of a giantess who built these temples while carrying her child. a story that perfectly captures the sheer scale and impossible effort that still inspires awe today. Constructed around 3,600 years before the Common Era, these are among the oldest freestanding structures in the entire world, predating even Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids. The entire complex is precisely oriented toward the southeast, a deliberate alignment with the rising sun during key moments in the agricultural year. Its design, featuring 5 distinct curved chambers or apses, is now understood as a sophisticated celestial map. Each apse seems to correspond to a different solar position, with specific stones and carefully placed openings acting as permanent markers for the solstices and equinoxes. This was far more than a place of ceremony. It was a community's central clock and calendar, where the turning of the seasons was not just observed but ritually celebrated. The farmers who built it needed to know precisely when to sow their crops and when to expect the rains, and they encoded that vital, life-giving knowledge directly into the architecture of their most sacred space. Recent archaeological work continues to uncover new alignments, revealing a level of astronomical understanding that we are only just beginning to appreciate. These massive limestone blocks, hauled into place without metal tools or the wheel, stand as a permanent testament to a Neolithic people who looked to the heavens not in fear, but with a profound understanding that their survival was written in the stars. Deep within the arid expanse of New Mexico's Chaco Canyon, a different kind of celestial chamber lies hidden. Casa Rinconada is not a towering pyramid, but a great kiva, a vast circular room built entirely underground. Constructed around the year 1100, this sacred space reveals the ancestral Puebloan people's profound connection to the cosmos. Its unadorned stone walls hold a secret precision. A series of niches are carved into the interior, and a single, small window pierces the structure. This was not a random opening. At dawn on the summer solstice, the year's first and most powerful sunlight streams through this window, projecting a brilliant spot of light that travels directly across the darkened chamber to illuminate one specific niche on the far wall. It is a moment of perfect alignment, an annual event marking the sun's peak with quiet, undeniable accuracy. But the solar calendar did not end there. Other niches and architectural features correspond to the equinoxes and even to key positions of the moon, transforming the entire kiva into a complex, permanent timekeeping device. The structure's very dimensions, its diameter and proportions, reflect mathematical principles that are echoed in Puebloan stories of creation. This suggests the kiva was more than a calendar. It was a symbolic model of their entire universe, a microcosm where the community could gather to witness the harmony of the heavens reflected in their own sacred space. Casa Rinconada was just one node in a much larger network. Throughout Chaco Canyon, great houses and mysterious arrow-straight roads are oriented to solar and lunar cycles, indicating that astronomy was the fundamental organizing principle for this vast cultural center. It connected communities across the Southwest, not just through trade, but through a shared, silent language written in stone and aligned with the stars. The Roman Pantheon offers a different kind of alignment, one not carved into a mountain but engineered into the very air of its sanctuary. Emperor Hadrian's Great Temple, completed around the year 126 of the Common Era, is a masterpiece of concrete and light. Its genius lies in the 27-foot-wide oculus, a perfect circular opening at the very crown of the dome. This was not just a window, but a celestial instrument of profound simplicity. At noon on the spring equinox, the sun reaches its zenith, and a brilliant beam of light pours through this opening. It does not wander aimlessly. It strikes a precisely placed metal grille above the main doorway, a moment of dramatic illumination that marks the sun's crossing of the celestial equator. Throughout the year, this sunbeam becomes a living clock. It travels in a slow, predictable arc across the coffered interior of the dome and down the walls, its path and intensity shifting with the seasons. On specific dates, this moving spotlight aligns with particular architectural features, doorways or niches. Many researchers believe these alignments were not random, but carefully calculated to coincide with imperial anniversaries or key religious festivals, turning the entire temple interior into a vast public calendar. Rain also finds its way through the Oculus, falling into a discrete drainage system in the patterned floor, a feature that integrated all of nature's cycles into the sacred space. The Pantheon represents a revolutionary idea that celestial alignment did not require a remote location or a single annual event. Here, Roman engineering merged the heavens with daily life, creating a space where the movement of the sun and stars was not just observed, but experienced by everyone inside, a constant, graceful reminder that the divine was literally looking in. A ridge of 13 stone teeth bites into the Peruvian sky, a silent calendar older than empires. The Chankillo Observatory stands apart from every other site we have explored, a complex built not for worship or burial, but for a single, pure purpose: to watch the sun. Dating back to around 300 years before the Common Era, this is the oldest known solar observatory in all of the Americas. Its design is breathtakingly direct. Along a barren hilltop, 13 nearly identical towers are arranged in a precise, undulating line. To the east and west of this ridge, the builders constructed two distinct observation points, creating a celestial stage for a daily performance. From the western point at dawn, an observer would watch the sun rise directly behind one of the towers. As the year progressed, the sunrise point would march steadily along the length of the ridge, from one end to the other and back again. During the June solstice, the sun would crown the tower at the southernmost end of the line. At the December solstice, it would appear at the opposite, northernmost end. And on the equinoxes, it rose perfectly between the 6th and 7th towers, splitting the calendar in two with perfect balance. This was a solar calendar of stunning accuracy, allowing its keepers to pinpoint any date within just 2 or 3 days, more than enough to schedule planting, harvests, and sacred ceremonies with confidence. The genius of Chankillo is in its specialization. While other cultures integrated astronomy into their temples, this site was a dedicated scientific instrument, a laboratory under the open sky. Its very existence suggests a class of professional astronomers, individuals whose sole role was to read the language of the sun as it moved across this permanent stone scale, turning the entire horizon into a giant, reliable clock for their civilization. While the specialized solar towers of Chankillo marked the year with pure precision, another kingdom was building a statement of power aligned with the same sun. South of Egypt, in what is now Sudan, the Kingdom of Kush constructed the Temple of the Sun at Meroë, a structure that speaks of a distinct and powerful astronomical tradition. From roughly 800 years before the Common Era to the year 350 of the Common Era, the Kushite rulers of Nubia created a civilization whose celestial knowledge was every bit as advanced as that of their northern neighbors. The temple's grand entrance was oriented with breathtaking care, designed so that on the morning of the summer solstice, the rising sun would fire a beam of light directly down its axis. This ray would travel into the sacred inner sanctuary to illuminate statues of the sun god Amun-Ra, a divine spotlight that connected the king directly to the power of the heavens. This alignment was not a simple copy of Egyptian design. The temple's specific orientation differs from those found along the Nile, reflecting local observations of the horizon and a unique Kushite interpretation of the cosmos. The walls inside were adorned with inscriptions and intricate reliefs depicting celestial deities and symbols. a permanent record of how deeply cosmic observation was woven into their spiritual life and their concept of kingship. Why did this solstice sunrise hold such importance? It likely served a dual purpose, a practical marker for the agricultural cycles tied to the Nile's life-giving floods, and a sacred commemoration of royal coronation dates, anchoring a king's rule in the eternal rhythm of the universe. For a long time, scholars viewed Kush as merely a reflection of Egypt, but ongoing archaeological work is completely rewriting that story. The Temple of the Sun at Meroë stands as a powerful challenge to those old assumptions, revealing a sophisticated Nubian astronomy that was entirely their own, a unique language of stone and light written for their sun. Venus does not simply appear in the sky over Uxmal, it is summoned by the stones. The governor's palace, a magnificent structure built around the year 900, stands as a testament to the Maya obsession with this brilliant planet. Its central doorway is not aimed at a road or a plaza, but at a precise point on the distant horizon, the exact spot where Venus rises at its southernmost extreme once every 8 years. This was no decorative flourish. It was a calculated alignment of political power with celestial power, a direct line of sight from the seat of authority to the heart of the Maya cosmos. In their worldview, Venus was far more than a beautiful light. It was a deity, a harbinger of conflict, its cycles dictating the timing of warfare and the coronation of kings. A ruler who could literally point to the building where Venus would appear was demonstrating a profound truth, that his right to govern was written in the stars themselves. The palace facade is a tapestry in stone, woven with hundreds of astronomical symbols and intricate latticework that scholars believe encodes the complex 584-day cycle of Venus. This was architecture as prophecy, a building designed to track the movements of a god and guide the fate of a civilization. While other cultures perfected solar alignments, the architects of Uxmal achieved something even more difficult, fixing a planetary rhythm into the very foundation of their city. It is a haunting reminder that their sky was alive with meaning, and their most important decisions were made in careful conversation with the heavens. The Parthenon stands on its Athenian hill not as a fortress but as a perfect equation. While its white marble columns are celebrated as the peak of classical beauty, they also encode a silent celestial order. Built between the years 447 and 432 before the Common Era, this temple to the goddess Athena was far more than a shelter for her statue. It was a grand mechanism for capturing light on a sacred schedule. During the great Panathenaic festival, the city's most important celebration, the rising sun would be positioned to stream directly through the eastern doorway. Its first rays would strike the colossal gold and ivory statue of Athena, setting the divine figure ablaze with light at the very moment her worshippers gathered. This was no happy accident of construction. The entire temple was meticulously oriented on an east-west axis to make this celestial event possible, a public miracle of timing that connected civic pride directly to the cosmos. But the alignment runs deeper than a single festival day. The Parthenon's proportions are a lesson in sacred mathematics, built upon ratios that echo throughout the heavens. Its dimensions are governed by the number 9, a figure that resonates in the 9-month human gestation period and the divisions of the lunar calendar. Recent studies point to an even more sophisticated purpose. The spacing and placement of the outer columns appear calculated to cast specific, intricate shadows across the temple floor during the solstices and equinoxes, turning the building itself into a giant, graceful sundial. This was the Greek ideal made stone, a unity of art, religion, and science. The Parthenon did not just point to the sky, it embodied its harmonious principles, proving that true beauty was found in aligning human creation with the eternal rhythms of the universe. From the mathematical perfection of the Parthenon, we journey to a structure that is not merely aligned with the cosmos, but one that seeks to be the cosmos itself. The great Buddhist temple of Borobudur rises from the plains of central Java like a man-made mountain, its 9 stacked terraces forming a massive 3-dimensional mandala. Constructed in the 9th century of the Common Era, this is not a building you enter, but one you ascend, a physical representation of the path from the earthly realm to enlightenment. At its summit, a great central stupa sits empty, symbolizing the state of perfect emptiness and ultimate reality. The entire monument is a map of the Buddhist universe, with Mount Meru, the cosmic axis, as its central inspiration. Its cardinal orientation is precise, its design perfectly symmetrical, a deliberate reflection of an ordered universe. But this cosmological model is brought to life by the sun. The hundreds of Buddha statues seated in perforated stupas are not placed at random. They are positioned as celestial receivers, designed to catch the first rays of the equinox sunrise in a very specific way. As the sun crests the horizon on these 2 days of balance, its light streams through the latticed stone, dramatically illuminating the serene faces of the Buddhas within. This is not a single moment, but a slow, choreographed procession of light that moves across the multiple terraces, activating specific reliefs and statues in a sequence that mirrors the stages of spiritual awakening. The alignment extends beyond the temple itself, creating sightlines with the surrounding volcanoes that anchor this cosmic diagram to the living landscape. Borobudur is perhaps the ultimate expression of a sacred space where architecture, astronomy, and spiritual belief become one single, unified teaching. It demonstrates that for its creators, observing the heavens was not separate from seeking nirvana, but an essential part of the path, a way of aligning the human soul with the profound and beautiful order of all existence. The city of Ur rose from the Fertile Crescent as a beacon of devotion, its heart crowned by a man-made mountain reaching for the gods. The great ziggurat, constructed by King Ur-Nammu around 2,100 years before the Common Era, was more than a temple. It was a physical bridge between the earthly realm and the divine. Each of its 3 colossal tiers, built from millions of baked mud bricks, represented a step closer to heaven, a cosmic axis where humanity could commune with the celestial powers. This was the sacred home of Nana, the wise and powerful moon god, whose silvery light governed the rhythms of time and the tides of the Euphrates River. But the priests who climbed its towering staircases were watching more than just the moon. The entire structure was precisely oriented to the 4 cardinal directions, its corners pointing north, south, east, and west with an accuracy that reveals a deep understanding of geometry and the sky. This foundational alignment created a stable, cosmic grid upon which more specific celestial events could be marked. While the ziggurat is famously linked to the lunar deity, its original design almost certainly captured the sun as well. The main staircase, a grand processional way for rituals, was likely aligned with the solstice sunrises, those pivotal moments when the sun reaches its northernmost and southernmost points on the horizon. Imagine the spectacle of a dawn ceremony on the longest day of the year, the sun cresting the distant plains directly in line with this sacred stair, its light flooding the upper temple as if in direct response to the priest's invocations. Cuneiform tablets recovered from the city describe elaborate ceremonies meticulously timed to celestial events, with temple astronomers observing the movements of stars and planets from the ziggurat's summit. The 3 great staircases converging at the top may have served as more than just paths for procession, each one potentially corresponding to a different celestial body or significant astronomical phenomenon, turning the entire structure into a multi-functional observatory. Although the ziggurat we see today is a careful reconstruction, its enduring form continues to whisper secrets. It stands as a profound lesson in urban planning, where the very center of the city, its political and economic heart, was also its primary connection to the cosmos. For the people of Mesopotamia, the universe was not a distant mystery. It was a living presence, and they built a mountain of earth and brick to meet it halfway. Teotihuacan was a city built not just for people, but for the cosmos itself. This vast Mexican metropolis, rising to power around 100 years before the Common Era, was laid out as a perfect reflection of the heavens above. Its entire grid, from the Grand Pyramids to the long avenues, functioned as a unified astronomical instrument. The colossal Pyramid of the Sun, one of the largest structures in the ancient world, was engineered for a very specific solar event. Its western facade is aligned so precisely that the sun sets directly in front of it on the days it passes through the zenith, the 2 moments each year when it is perfectly, directly overhead. For the people of Teotihuacan, these zenith days, falling on May 19th and July 25th in their calendar, were moments of immense power. The sun cast no shadows, a phenomenon they saw as a divine union between the sky and the earth, a time when celestial energy poured straight down into the heart of their city. This was more than a spectacle. It was the central pulse of their urban rhythm, dictating the timing of rituals and the agricultural cycle. But the city's celestial choreography did not end with the sun. The main artery, known today as the Avenue of the Dead, stretches for miles in a near-perfect line. This was not a random orientation. It was carefully aligned with the setting point of the Pleiades star cluster, a tight grouping of stars that held profound significance across Mesoamerica. Its annual disappearance and reappearance in the night sky marked a critical turning point in the calendar, a celestial signal observed from the very core of the city. Even the smaller, elegant Pyramid of the Moon plays its part, its summit framing specific mountain peaks on the horizon that themselves served as natural markers for other celestial events. Every stone in this city seems to whisper a single idea, that human life flourishes when it moves in conscious, graceful harmony with the universe. Göbekli Tepe rises from a Turkish hilltop as a question carved in stone. Its rings of massive T-shaped pillars were erected around 9,600 years before the Common Era, a staggering 6,000 years before the first stones of Stonehenge were set in place. This was the work of hunter-gatherers, people we once believed were incapable of such grand, coordinated effort. The pillars themselves are not merely structural. They are individuals, each one carved with arms, hands, and belts, silent giants frozen in a circle. And they are looking somewhere. Recent studies of the complex geometry reveal that these enclosures were not arranged at random. Specific pillars are aligned with the solstice sunrise, capturing the year's pivotal turning points. Even more intriguing, the entire layout of the main enclosures seems to point toward the stars of the Cygnus constellation, a celestial swan that held profound meaning for these early people. Deep carvings on the pillars, once thought to be abstract symbols, are now being interpreted as detailed records of a catastrophic event, perhaps a comet striking the Earth, a story of the sky written in stone for future generations. Then, around 8,000 years before the Common Era, the entire complex was intentionally and carefully buried under tons of earth, an act of preservation that seems almost deliberate, as if to protect its celestial secrets for a future age. This single site turns our historical timeline on its head. It suggests that the impulse to build monuments to the cosmos and the sophisticated astronomy required to align them did not emerge after humans settled down to farm. Instead, this cosmic curiosity may have been the very spark that brought people together, that compelled them to cooperate on a scale never before seen, laying the foundational stones for civilization itself. Göbekli Tepe stands as a silent, monumental challenge, asking us to reconsider everything we thought we knew about the dawn of human ambition. Its colossal stone wheels stand frozen in time, a divine chariot halted in its journey across the heavens. The Sun Temple at Karnak in India is not merely a building dedicated to a god. It is an architectural representation of the sun god Surya himself, riding his celestial chariot across the sky. Built in the 13th century of the Common Era, this masterpiece was conceived on a breathtaking scale, a monument to the star that gives all life. Its base is flanked by 12 pairs of exquisitely carved stone wheels, each one standing nearly 10 feet tall. These are not simply decoration, they are a functioning cosmic calendar. The 12 pairs correspond to the 12 months of the year, while the 24 total wheels symbolize the 24 hours of the day, turning the entire temple complex into a gigantic, permanent clock. The primary entrance was engineered with astonishing precision, aligned perfectly to the east so that on the mornings of the equinox, the rising sun would fire a beam of light directly through the main doorway. This ray would travel deep into the temple's heart, illuminating the inner sanctum where the deity resided, a moment of direct communion between the cosmos and the sacred. Although the main tower, the Shikara, has collapsed over the centuries, the surviving structure still whispers its astronomical secrets. Specific pillars and carvings were positioned to cast intricate, telltale shadows at different times of the day and year, their shifting patterns marking the solstices and the steady progression of the seasons. Every surface of the temple is a tapestry of celestial knowledge, with sculptures depicting the 9 planets, the 12 signs of the zodiac, and the mythical beings that populate the Hindu cosmos. This was more than a place of worship. It was a 3-dimensional textbook of astronomy and cosmology, a declaration that to understand the universe was to come closer to the divine. The sheer ambition of Karnak represents the pinnacle of a tradition that saw no separation between art, science, and devotion, uniting them all in a single, magnificent stone prayer to the sun. While the stone giants of Europe cast long shadows, a city of earth and timber in North America was charting the sun with equal genius. Across the Mississippi River from modern St. Louis, the sprawling metropolis of Cahokia thrived around the year 1000 of the Common Era. At its heart, alongside the massive earthen mounds, stood a different kind of celestial instrument, a great circle of towering wooden posts known today as Woodhenge. Imagine the scene at dawn. A priest or perhaps an astronomer stands at a central post facing the eastern perimeter. As the sun crests the horizon, its first light aligns perfectly with a specific post in the ring, a clear, undeniable marker of the day. This was not a single alignment but a complete solar calendar. The circle of 48 posts spanning 410 feet across tracked the sun's entire yearly journey. Specific posts marked the solstices, the turning points of the year, while others pinpointed the equinoxes and other key solar positions essential for survival. This knowledge was the lifeblood of the city, dictating the precise moments to plant the vital crops of corn, beans, and squash that sustained a population of thousands. But this celestial clock was also a tool of power. By demonstrating a unique ability to read the heavens, Cahokia's rulers reinforced their authority, presenting themselves as the essential intermediaries between the community and the cosmic forces that governed their world. The astronomical design extended beyond the wooden circle. The city's grandest structure, the immense Monk's Mound, is also aligned with celestial events. Its terraced levels frame the solstice sunrises and sunsets, integrating the cosmic order directly into the urban landscape. Cahokia's Woodhenge, built from perishable timber that has long since returned to the earth, leaves us with a powerful insight. It reminds us that a civilization's sophistication is not measured solely by the permanence of its monuments, but by the enduring power of the ideas they encoded, written here not in stone, but in the precise relationship between a watching post and the rising sun. While North American mounds were calibrated for the agricultural year in the heart of Beijing, a different kind of alignment was perfected, one of cosmic geometry and imperial duty. The Temple of Heaven complex, built in the early 15th century, is a masterpiece of symbolic harmony. Its primary stage, the circular mound altar, is an open-air platform of 3 tiers of pristine white marble. This was not merely a stage for ritual, but a physical diagram of the universe. The altar's perfect circular form represents heaven itself, while the number of its balustrades and steps is a multiple of the sacred number 9, the ultimate Yong number associated with the celestial emperor. Every measurement was a deliberate choice, embedding numerological principles from ancient Chinese astronomical traditions directly into the stone. The emperor would stand at the very center of this cosmic diagram during the winter solstice ceremony, his voice echoing as he reported on the year's governance to the heavens, becoming the literal axis between the earthly realm and the divine. A short distance away, the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvests continues this architectural symphony. Its structure is a complete temporal map, with 4 central pillars representing the 4 seasons, 12 outer pillars for the months of the year, and another 12 columns for the 2-hour divisions of the day. Together, these 28 pillars held up the roof, a number also corresponding to the celestial mansions, the ancient Chinese groupings of stars used to track the moon's path. This was not an observatory designed to capture a single beam of light on a specific day. Its alignment was not with an event, but with an idea, the principle of cosmic order itself. The entire complex is a lesson in how a civilization can build its understanding of time, space, and power into a sacred landscape, creating a permanent, silent conversation between the human and the heavenly. The Sahara Desert holds the remains of a stone clock older than the pyramids. At Nabta Playa, a vast, dried-up lakebed in southern Egypt, a circle of megaliths stands as a silent testament to an ancient and pressing need to understand the sky. Created by pastoralists between 5,000 and 3,000 years before the Common Era, this is one of humanity's earliest known astronomical observatories. Its stones are not arranged at random, but form precise lines that point toward the horizon. One key alignment marks the summer solstice sunrise, a critical moment in the annual cycle. But for these early people, another celestial event was even more vital. They aligned other stones with the rising of specific stars, whose appearance in the pre-dawn sky heralded the coming of the seasonal rains. In an environment that was growing progressively more arid, this knowledge was not abstract science, it was the key to survival. Knowing exactly when the rains would begin meant knowing when to move their herds to new grazing lands, a matter of life and death in the shifting desert. A central stone structure acts as the complex's core calendar, with its carefully positioned slabs creating sightlines to these celestial triggers. The sophistication of this system is staggering, suggesting these nomadic people possessed a complex cosmology, a detailed understanding of the heavens that they encoded in stone. This challenges a long-held narrative that systematic astronomy first emerged only in great river valley civilizations. Nabta Playa forces us to look deeper into human history, to recognize that the drive to map the stars began not in settled cities, but in the vast, open spaces where survival depended on reading the subtle language of the sky. The knowledge cultivated here in the heart of Africa may well have traveled north, potentially seeding the astronomical traditions that would later flourish along the Nile. This remote stone circle is a powerful reminder that humanity's cosmic conversation began in many places at once, a shared awakening under a boundless sky. El Caracol rises from the Yucatan jungle not as a pyramid but as a silent stone telescope. This unique circular tower, built around the year 906, represents the pinnacle of Mayan astronomical science, a specialized observatory dedicated to tracking the complex dance of the planets. Its narrow, slit-like windows were not for letting in light, but for letting in precise information. Each aperture frames a specific celestial event, a permanent sightline carved in stone. One window captures the exact point where Venus sets at its northernmost extreme, an event that occurs only once every 8 years. Another aligns perfectly with the equinox sunset, while a different opening marks the summer solstice sunrise. The tower's very form, a radical departure from the angular Mayan architecture that surrounds it, speaks of a profound shift. Its circular design and internal spiral staircase, which gives El Caracol its nickname, the Snail, may reflect the influence of Toltec thought, merging with local genius to create a new kind of scientific instrument. Inside this stone shell, an astronomer priest would have spent nights tracking the slow, steady progression of stars and planets across these narrow frames. Their primary focus was Venus, a celestial body the Maya saw as a divine harbinger. Its appearances and disappearances dictated the timing of sacred ceremonies and even the declaration of conflict. By being able to predict its movements with such accuracy, the keepers of El Caracol wielded immense power, translating the silent laws of the cosmos into the daily rhythms of an entire civilization. This was not a temple for public spectacle, but a laboratory for celestial calculation, a place where the sky was not just worshipped but meticulously measured. Its existence stands as a rare and powerful testament to a culture that built a dedicated space for pure astronomical discovery, proving their vision reached far beyond the cycles of the sun and moon to embrace the intricate mechanics of the entire heavens. Our final destination descends into the Earth itself. The Ħal Saflieni Hypogeum on Malta is a world turned inside out, a 3-level labyrinth carved entirely from living limestone between 3,300 and 3,000 years before the Common Era. Here in the perpetual dark, the builders engineered a moment of celestial grace. The so-called oracle room holds the secret. Deep within the complex, this chamber possesses extraordinary acoustic properties, where a single spoken word can resonate through the entire subterranean network. But its true wonder is reserved for the winter solstice. At dawn on the year's shortest day, the sun would find the single, original opening to the surface. A slender beam of light would spear down through the darkness, traveling a precise path to strike one specific, carved niche in the oracle room. In that sudden, silent illumination, a profound transformation occurred. The sun's ray would not only illuminate the carved stone, but its warmth would subtly change the air temperature in the niche, altering the room's acoustics and creating a distinct echo. For the people gathered in that sacred, underground space, it would have been a multisensory miracle, a moment where light and sound fused to mark the sun's symbolic rebirth. Other chambers in the vast complex show alignments with different solar positions, suggesting the entire hypogeum was a calendar for the entire year, a subterranean clock tracking the seasons from deep below the ground. This was a place of resting, a sacred site where the community honored those who came before. Yet even here, amidst this profound quiet, the architects felt compelled to connect with the cosmos. They integrated the very cycle of life and the promise of renewal into the heart of the earth, proving that their celestial conversation knew no bounds, reaching even into the silent depths to greet the returning sun. These 25 temples form a global tapestry woven with a common celestial thread. When we step back to view them as a whole, a remarkable pattern emerges. Cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years with no possible contact all arrived at the same profound conclusion. They each chose to build their most sacred spaces in conscious, precise harmony with the cosmos. This was not a series of isolated discoveries, but a universal human impulse to anchor our fleeting existence to the eternal rhythms of the universe. The most common signature is the east-west axis, a foundational line found from Stonehenge to the Pantheon, used to capture the pivotal solstice sunrises and sunsets. It seems our ancestors everywhere recognized the power in these turning points, the longest and shortest days, and sought to mark them permanently in stone. Equinox alignments, those moments of perfect balance between day and night, appear with stunning frequency from the roof box at Newgrange to the grand doorway of Angkor. And again, we see the solar year encoded directly into architecture through the 365 steps of Kukulkan, the 12 wheel pairs at Karnak, or the 28 pillars in the Hall of Prayer. The number is the same because the Earth's journey around the Sun is the same for everyone. This reveals a shared, underlying genius, a collective human understanding that the cosmos operates on a predictable, mathematical clock. Yet, within this universal framework, beautiful differences blossom, reflecting each culture's unique relationship with their sky. The sun-scorched deserts of Egypt and the high Andes of Peru naturally elevated the life-giving sun to the center of their cosmic vision. For the Maya, living under a clear tropical sky, the dramatic cycles of Venus became a divine script for royalty and conflict. In Mesopotamia, the gentle, reliable phases of the moon, so crucial for tracking time in a land of rivers and seasons, made the lunar god Nana their celestial sovereign. Their environment shaped their cosmology, which in turn dictated which part of the heavens they would build for. So, while the fundamental impulse to connect was universal, the specific celestial language each culture spoke was beautifully, uniquely their own. This global conversation in stone asks us a deeper question. What does it say about humanity that we have always felt this profound need to build mirrors of the heavens here on Earth? This shared celestial thread, woven across continents and millennia, reveals an astonishing truth about our species. From the sun-drenched stones of Abu Simbel to the subterranean chambers of Malta, from the mathematical perfection of the Pantheon to the planetary tracking of El Caracol, we have witnessed a universal human impulse to build our deepest truths in alignment with the heavens. These were not separate projects, but a collective, silent conversation with the universe, spoken in the language of architecture. The practical needs were undeniable, marking the solstices to time the planting of crops, tracking Venus to guide the cycles of leadership and ceremony. Yet these structures served a purpose far greater than mere utility. They were profound spiritual statements, declaring that human life, with all its fleeting seasons, was an integral part of a vast, beautiful, and orderly cosmos. The mathematical precision required to achieve this, built with stone tools and generations of patient observation, stands as a timeless testament to human ingenuity. It is a quiet, enduring genius set in stone, as our modern technologies, from laser scanning to satellite imagery, allow us to peer deeper into these ancient sites. We continue to uncover ever more sophisticated alignments. Each new discovery enriches our appreciation, reminding us that our ancestors' cosmic wisdom runs even deeper than we ever knew. These 25 temples are more than ruins, they are permanent invitations. They ask us to remember that looking upward, to wonder at the stars and seek our place within their grand design, has always been an essential part of our humanity. This celestial conversation, written in stone and light, does not have to end with our journey. If these ancient alignments have sparked your own sense of wonder, you can stand in the very spots where these cosmic events unfold. Plan a visit to witness a solstice sunrise at Stonehenge, or feel the equinox light illuminate the inner chamber at Newgrange. There is no substitute for seeing that perfect beam of sunlight touch an ancient stone with your own eyes, a moment that connects you directly to the minds who planned it thousands of years ago. We would love to hear about your own encounters with these celestial wonders. Have you felt the shadow of the serpent descend at Chichen Itza, or watched the dawn light hit the heel stone? Share your stories and photographs in the comments below, and let us continue this global conversation together. For more explorations into the hidden genius of the past, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell. Our next investigation leads us into the very ground beneath our feet, as we uncover how ancient societies designed structures to withstand the Earth's tremors, using methods that are only now being rediscovered by contemporary engineers. Their knowledge, it seems, reached for the stars and anchored itself firmly in the stone below. Until then, keep your eyes on the skies and your mind open to the profound legacy of those who first learned to read the universe, leaving behind a message in monuments that still whisper their secrets to anyone willing to listen.